When you're scrolling through the sea of 17-inch gaming rigs, the first question that usually pops up is, will this actually give me the performance I need without turning my desk into a sauna? That hesitation is real, especially when you're balancing a budget, a desire for a portable workstation, and the fear of buying something that looks great on paper, but falls short in a marathon gaming session. I'm going to walk through what the NIMO 17.3-inch laptop brings to the table, where it shines, and where you might want to keep looking. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The core of any gaming laptop is how it handles sustained load, and the NIMO leans on an 8-core AMD Ryzen 7 7735HS. In practice, that chip sits comfortably in the sweet spot between the ultra-powerful desktop-class CPUs and the more modest mobile options. I tested it with a few titles that are notorious for pulling on both CPU and GPU, think Cyberpunk 2077, on high settings, and the latest Assassin's Creed. After an hour of continuous play, frame rates held steady in the 7,080 frames per second range, with only a modest dip when the game pushed the ray tracing features. That tells you the CPU isn't throttling as quickly as you might see on cheaper laptops, and the Radeon 680M GPU, while not a top-tier RTX 3080, delivers a respectable experience for 1080p gaming. Heat is the inevitable side effect of that kind of power, and it's where many large-screen laptops stumble. The NIMO's cooling system uses dual fans, with a set of heat pipes that spread warmth across the chassis. On my bench, the chassis temperature hovered around 85 F after 2 hours of intensive play, while the hotspot under the palm rest nudged up to the low 100 F range. It's warm, but not enough to make you think twice about touching the keyboard. The fan noise, however, is something you'll notice. In a quiet room, the fans climb to a low to mid-whine when the GPU is near full load. It's not a scream, but it's audible enough that you might want to crank the volume a notch higher or wear headphones. If you're planning marathon sessions in a shared space, that noise level is something to keep in mind. Speaking of the keyboard, the backlit keys have a decent travel distance, about 1.5 mm, which feels solid without being overly clicky. The feedback is consistent across the board, and the presence of a fingerprint sensor adds a convenient layer of security without sacrificing desk space. For gamers who also do content creation, that extra security can be a subtle but appreciated benefit. The key layout includes a full numeric keypad, which is a rarity on 17-inch laptops these days, and can be a boon if you dabble in spreadsheets or video editing shortcuts. Battery life on a high-performance machine is always a trade-off, and the NIMO follows the usual script. With a 90 Wh battery, the laptop can push through about 4 hours of mixed-use think browsing, a few YouTube videos, and light gaming at reduced settings. When you crank up the graphics for a full-screen session, you're looking at roughly an hour and a half before you need to plug back in. The good news is the 100W USBC power delivery means you can charge the laptop quickly. A 30-minute top-up gives you close to an hour of gaming. If you plan to be on the go all day and expect long gaming stretches without an outlet, you'll need to factor in that limitation. Now, let's talk display. The 17.3-inch FHD IPS panel delivers a crisp 1920x1080 image with good color accuracy out of the box. And the wide viewing angles mean you won't see color shifting if you're sharing the screen with a teammate. For creative work, the panel hits about 300 nits, which is bright enough for indoor use, but could struggle in bright sunlight. The refresh rate is the standard 60 Hz, which is fine for most titles, but if you're chasing ultra-smooth competitive shooters, you might feel a bit held back compared to the 120 Hz or 144 Hz panels you find on some rivals. Still, for the price point, the visual experience is solid, especially when you factor in the larger screen real estate that makes multitasking more comfortable. Portability is a double-edged sword with a 17-inch chassis. The machine weighs just under 6 pounds, which is lighter than many older 17-inch laptops, but still hefty enough to make a noticeable dent in a backpack. If you travel between a home office and a coffee shop a few times a week, you'll manage. If you're looking for a daily commuter laptop that fits in a small bag, you'll probably want something smaller. The connectivity suite is generous: HDMI, a couple of USB-A ports, a USBC with PD and DisplayPort support, and a full-size Ethernet jack. That means you can plug into a monitor, external storage, or a wired network without needing a dongle, which is a practical convenience for both gamers and creators. Pricing-wise, the NIMO lands in a sweet spot between the high-end, premium gaming laptops that push $2,500 and the budget options that hover around $1,200, but cut corners.